Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious problem on hand. The topic today is going to be Remi Freight DOT 3660171. You see this creep right here. I give this guy a second chance so maybe he can behave and act right while still got his DOT number. But my investigation reveals that this person is a cockroach and he really has no empathy and he's a drug addict. So I can probably understand his actions. He's looking for the next hit, next strip club, next drunk, next high of that dope he's on. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because this creep still hasn't paid me my money. And he took off with about 20, 30 truck drivers' money or more. But what touched me the most was him stealing close to $5,000 from a 60-year-old white woman, American Texan, a lady been driving trucks for years. He stole her money and she came crying to me about 6-7 months ago. That was the tipping point for me to check this motherfucker right here. This person is behind his dad's death, okay? He was making his dad drive illegal, okay? His dad had no e-log or paper logs and ran on the back of a goddamn flatbed hauling a tractor and killed himself. And the creep tried to tell me one time when I fronted him that he hired a private detective and he watched his dad die and it was his fault. And then a few months later tried to tell me that he won a lawsuit, which is bullshit. What this demon did is he got his sister to file a lawsuit against his own company. And his sister states in the lawsuit that he was making truck drivers falsify logs and was not providing safe working environment. So clearly, and his sister was the one cutting the pay stubs for past 3 years. So this is a very disturbed family, but my concern is for this person, all the stuff that's going on in the trucking industry, how is this person operating on the roads of America? Because even after I gave him multiple warnings in October 2025 to stop, what you're about to see that he hasn't stopped. He's still participating in an illegal log operation, and he's still participating in illegal activities on the roads of America. This is a very dangerous person, okay? I gave him plenty of warnings. This is the creep right here, DOT 366017. That's an older address. I care not to put his new address because that's his home address, but that's a creep. But we're gonna go through some of his violations, okay? And majority of the violations that you're gonna see are related to the log violations, okay? What he was doing was he was pretty much forcing. You have an option, yeah, if you want to drive extra, DOT allows it. If you need to move forward a little bit, yes, you can do that. If you want to do that as an individual truck drivers, you have a right to do that, okay? DOT allows it sometimes to move to safety here and there, a couple hours, adverse weather conditions, and so on and so on. Everyone knows that. But when you are forcing truck drivers to do illegal activities, and when they refuse, you letting them go and then stealing their money then becomes a problem, okay? He's a thief, and he's participating in very shady activities while under a DOT number, okay? But his time is near, very near. He doesn't know that, but he had an option to just voluntarily leave. But I think there's a bunch of Bosnian refugees in Dallas-Fort Worth that are putting some things in his ears, or he might have a lawyer putting something in his ear that he's not fully understanding. But his lawyer needs to teach him, tell him that. I don't think his lawyer know what he's doing, the things he's participating in. But we're gonna review some things he's been doing really quick. Well, he's been operating without an IFTA since May of 2024. We already discussed that last time, but I gave him a benefit of the doubt. I said maybe the man might change his ways, but then I found out recently I found out he's actually a cockroach and he would not change. Okay, only way this person can change is this person needs to be behind prison bars. That's the only way he's going to stop. Okay, and DOT knows that. DOT knows about him, what's going on. They've been monitoring him real carefully. So his IFTA has been suspended. So every time his truck passes through weigh stations, he gets flagged. That's a flag symbol right there that you see right there. It's a fail. He's been flagged to park because his DOT number keeps getting flagged. Okay. So now he had a fraudulent, but they're not gonna enforce that too much unless they're deep. Unless he go to Kentucky and Oklahoma, he's gonna get popped. But other places, they would not. They would have to look deep into what's going on with his IFTA. You know what I'm saying? But now we're gonna talk about the lawsuit that he made his sister file, I believe. He actually has a bunch of lawsuits that he's been getting hit with for tolls, for evading tolls. I believe those tolls are over $100-some thousand just for Texas, and probably over some $100,000+ for Easy Pass. But his sister says that he failed to provide safe working conditions. Now, this lawsuit is from about 2023, okay? But so this is from 2023. So we're gonna look at the past 2 years of his inspection and the things that's been taking place, and the things that he was being warned by truck drivers and myself not to do, but he continued to do those things because he's a drug addict, okay? Because he quick to party, he quick to go to the clubs where the strippers at, where the drugs at. And he's growing titties. He's growing real big male titties, and he's not understanding why that is happening, okay? Because the dude is confused. So now, pay attention to what's going on over here. See, read this right here. That's his sister. Okay? Now, I want you to pay attention to what she says in this lawsuit, this piece of lawsuit, right? Failed to provide safe working conditions, right? So she knows what he's been doing. Okay. Plaintiff further asserts gross negligence and malice on the part of Remi Freight, accusing him of knowingly allowing drivers to falsify logs. So pretty much what she's saying is that it was what I just said. He was making drivers drive illegal, forcing them to do illegal log operation, not just a couple of hours. And the thing is, when they refuse, he will fire them and steal their money. And he did that to dozens of truck drivers. So he's stolen close to over $100,000 from truck drivers. This Bosnian refugees, okay? This Bosnian refugee came to America with his dad as a refugee. Okay, and this is what he's been doing. He's taken out a bunch of SBA fraudulent loans. He took out a bunch of fraudulent loans during COVID. And he was encouraging everybody. And the funny thing is, I strongly believe the reason Elvis failed was because of this creep. Because I know Elvis remotely. Prior to Elvis allowing this creep in Elvis's company, Elvis was a totally different person. Although Elvis' business was, he probably brought some business to Elvis when in regards to Encore and the doors. But Elvis was doing good without him. Now pay attention. When I brought this dude, there's a big twist in this that I'm gonna be, if FMCSA reaches out to me, that I'm gonna be bringing up to them. It's regarding Encore, where I was saying, addressing about his dad. I told him that he in 2024 I had an argument with him, and I said, your dad, you the one responsible for your dad. Your dad did not have to die. He got so upset. He made a threat that he was going to contact Encore to ban me. And I said, man, this guy's stupid. He can't do that. So what he did was, then I brought up his dad again, because then I found out that the reason he was getting upset and he didn't want me to mention his dad because he made his sister file a fraudulent lawsuit against his company. That's a fraudulent lawsuit because his sister, no, I'm going to prove it to you that's a fraudulent lawsuit. because we're going to review some of his inspections, just recent one since I have left. But you are able to review 2 years of inspections. So this lawsuit is filed in 2023. Okay? If someone was to contact the Texas DPS who did an investigation and said, look into this case again, this motherfucker belongs in prison. Because he has no empathy. Ask yourself, a person, after seeing this and your family member dying, knowing that one of the reasons this happened because there was no electronic logging on in the truck and he was not enforcing it, would you participate in anything like that again? You wouldn't, right? But this creep was. Let's see. This is this creep right here in the middle. Okay. Now, what we're going to review some of his inspections because he thought that we're going to go just back October 2025 when we left, okay? But he thought that since we're the people, person like me and others that wanted to do the right thing, that would not drive with no flat tires and participating in his bullshit and no mud flaps and all that shit, you know, that no lights, that if he could just drive and don't say nothing, and he would have a bunch of stupid truck drivers and he would hire them and they would do what they say, and if they disagree, he would steal their checks. So I gave him a benefit of the doubt. I gave him a pass. I gave him a pass when he banned me from Encore. He tried to tell Encore that I made a threat of suing them or something like that, which I didn't. What he did was he contacted MTI, the broker, that have close ties with, okay? But look at this right here. This is from in Iowa, October 7th. This is when he brought that meth addict Mohawk to work for him. All others leaking or inflation less than 50, because Mohawk is a pretty strange guy, Peyton, because he talks a lot of shit about European trucking companies on Facebook regarding ELDs and all that stuff, and then when he needs a check, he runs to the European trucking companies. Very strange, Peyton. What kind of drugs you on? You definitely on something. So leaking. So this has to do with tires, the violation, and some lights. But we're gonna go on the 14th to Arizona. So in Arizona, he has brake problems right here. So the violation in Arizona on the 17th, on the 14th, brake and ELD. So he had an ELD violation, electronic log violations, and brake. And then in Arkansas on the 16th, he got hit with a bunch of inoperable or missing tractor protective valve. Okay. Then he had air brake. You could hear the leaks. All his trailer tires, they got problems with brakes and air leaks. No fire extinguisher present or properly rated. So he had no fire extinguisher in the truck. Any air leak attributed to the brake suspension. The driver who was driving was desperate. I know when this happened. And so all these violations that you see, okay, one of them he got put out of server. Driver failed to note malfunction. So driver did not even have no ELD in the truck. He was using a paper log and he got popped, right? And then at this particular time, he was trying to tell the driver to take the truck out of the weigh station while out of service. So he was telling the truck driver to violate a out of service order on the 16th. And then when the DOT found out, because the truck driver was hungry in the weigh station, couldn't get no food, when the DOT found out, they towed his truck and trailer. On the 18th in Texas, he got a tire the tire, the steel on the tire was showing. So there was no tread. Steel was showing on the tire. Then he had brake problems, brake connection leak. Then in Ohio, he had same, no tread. The tread was missing on the tire. Mud flaps was missing, okay? Now we come to on the 3rd, December 3rd in Texas. And I believe, I believe it was him, this dope fiend, was driving around. He had a habit of driving around in Dallas-Fort Worth with no CDL and medical card. Not realizing that Dallas-Fort Worth has the most strictest commercial motor vehicle enforcement in state of Texas, possibly in America, because in state of Texas, the local cops, city cops, have been deputized or given permission to enforce commercial motor vehicles. So that's why you have Fort Worth commercial motor vehicle. You have Arlington commercial motor vehicle enforcement. These are not state trooper or FMCSA. These are city cops who are enforcing commercial motor vehicles, and they are more strict than state troopers and FMCSA because they can charge you some fines. And those fines are going to go to the city, local city, city of Houston, city of Dallas, okay, city of Arlington's, okay. It's not, so that's where the fine is going to be going to, okay. So operating a commercial motor vehicle without a CDL, that's an out of service violation. I believe it was him. I believe he's a dope fiend, drug addict. No medical certificate, operating without a medical certificate, brake system pressure loss, no fire extinguisher, inspection repair, no annual inspection, and lights are missing, okay? And then again in Colorado, this is a very interesting one in Colorado. This is a very interesting one right here. Look at this. Hours service. Driver produces false record of duty status that conceal the hours. So this is just in the date for this one, ladies and gentlemen. So now he's producing a false record of duty status. This is December 29th of 2025, okay? And December 3rd, he doesn't even have a license. He doesn't even have a license because in this particular time, he told the DOT, I believe it was him. Okay, he got popped. Okay, then, but he continues. The thing is, you read the lawsuit that his sister filed. So his sister, he made his sister file a lawsuit because he's continuing to do the same things that is in the lawsuit. So clearly this dude has a mental problems. Okay? So the DOT is going to have to answer some questions here, right here. FMCSA, what's going on? Then in Tennessee, mud flap missing, tire problems, out of service. Then in Montana, he got hit big, okay? In Montana, he got hit. He was hauling a class 9 hazardous material, okay? Okay, now check this out. Operating a commercial motor vehicle without, okay, no annual inspection, no fire extinguisher secure, leaking air tires, tire tread less than 2/32 an inch, crack, loose, sagging, broken frame or chassis. This is while he's hauling a class 9 hazardous material miscellaneous. So we just went back to October, all the way to, and you done saw 5 or 6 violations just in the past few months. But we're look at this, look at it. These are just, let's look at something happened in Missouri. ELD, driver failed to review record duty status. Warning device, inadequate flag. Driver made false report connection with the duty status. Host to be, oh my God. All kind of violations in regards to the driving beyond 11 hours. So he has his, just for past 2 years, his inspections are filled with log violations and body parts missing and unsafe, everything that you see, fabric sport tires, tubing damage, leaking. So this is a very dangerous carrier. Once again, look at it. He has so many hours of service violations, and they go back to what we talked about we see the snapshots of the lawsuit. So his sister files a lawsuit against his company saying that that's what he's been doing, and he continues to do that. So he continues to do that, right? The creep right here. So his DOT is 366-017. I believe that he's still frauding truck drivers, and I believe that he's doing a lot of illegal activities after he's been warned. And he's so far gone in his dope that he doesn't know what's going on. And he doesn't understand that the people, his sister and the cockeyed cousin of his, he's going to get them in trouble also. So if they have a little bit of common sense, if your lawyer had a little bit of common sense, you could tell the lawyer what the truth, that you have stolen close to $100,000 from truck drivers, okay? And you stole from that 60-year-old white woman, American Texan, and she came crying that you stole her money, you piece of shit. This person has no empathy. This creep is a stalker, or a fraudulent IFTA certificate. The dude had a fucking fraudulent IFTA certificate. All the time, these people warn him about this shit. Look at it. That's how you ride. Everything that I told him, and it's popping up on the screen, that's what he's been getting popped at. He thought by getting rid of me, getting rid of truck drivers like Anthony, that everything is going to be smooth sailing for him. He's going to say, this guy is so petty that he stole he doesn't even have a mechanic. So the mechanic that was coming to help him change tires and flats, this motherfucker steals $50 from a dude that is changing tire that he's going to need in the future to change tires. So he could go do his drugs in strip clubs. That's how sick. And if his sister has a little bit of common sense, she would not bring her daughter near this creep. But she might be desperate for some money, so you never know what can happen. Look at this. Dislodged air tank. That's how he was driving that trailer for months at a time. He was driving this trailer with a dislodged tank. Now imagine for a second, if that tank came off, it was barely hanging off one board on one side. If that one board would have came off, this tank would have caused a lot of damage, probably would have killed somebody. Now ask yourself, a person like that, this happened in 2023. And I just showed you the violations for past 2023. And most of them has to do with the log violations. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, that if a person that can see something like that and continues to operate an illegal log operation and fire truck drivers and steal their money, ask yourself if that person has empathy. No, he doesn't. He's not even a man. He's not even a woman. He is a mentally disturbed human being who should not be on the road. How does this person have a DOT number? I can tell you one thing, Mr. Ebner. What I know, that if FMCSA reach out to me, your ass gonna be in a motherfucking penitentiary for Emil Suljic death. I gave you so many chances, motherfucker. Okay? You stole from a lot of people. And you continue to participate in illegal log activity because you's a fucking cockroach. You killed your dad, you piece of shit. You are the one behind his death. And you gonna pay. And if FMCSA had a little bit of common sense, they're gonna come looking for you as soon as possible before you cause some serious damage on these roads of America.